Sandra Renee Cantu was born on March 8, 2001, to a proud but struggling couple named Maria Chavez and Daniel Cantu. She resided with her mother, her grandparents, and three older half-siblings in a mobile home at Orchard Estates Mobile Home Park in Tracy, California. Sandra's father, Daniel, lived in Mexico and had minimal involvement in her life at the time Sandra was studying in second grade at Melville's Jacobson Elementary School. She was adored by all who met her. She was described as a bright, friendly, and innocent girl. Sandra was known for her talkative nature and her willingness to assist others. She loved coloring and helping out her mother in the kitchen. Her favorite character was Hannah Montana, and she enjoyed visiting and playing with friends in the neighborhood. On March 27, 2009, Sandra was picked up by her grandfather from school at approximately 4 p.m. Sandra arrived home and quickly changed her clothes to go out and play with her friends. The locality, comprised of roughly 100 mobile homes, fostered a close-knit community where everyone knew everyone else, making it common for children to play outside unaccompanied by adults. But as dinner time approached and Sandra was still not back home, Maria started to get worried, as her daughter would always return home. Before dinner time, she called the nearby parents of Sandra's community friends. However, no one had seen her concerned. Sandra's mother and her siblings went out to look for her. However, they could not find the girl anywhere. The family contacted local police at 7:53 p.m. at the time she went missing. Sandra had been wearing leggings paired with a pink Hello Kitty shirt. An extensive search was launched for the girl, which included over 250 volunteers, as well as search dogs and helicopters. Simultaneously, police went from door to door, interviewing all residents of the mobile home community, but no trace that the girl was found. Sandra's picture was immediately distributed to the media so that they may broadcast their story, and the reward of $22,000 was offered in return for information about the case. The next morning, the FBI was called in to assist. They looked into all the sex offenders present in the 1-mile area of the trailer park and rolled them out. Sandra's grandparents had installed security cameras outside the house. Police checked the CCTV footage and noticed Sandra crossing a street, hopping and skipping around 4 p.m. The previous day, they noticed that as she made her way down the street, something caught her attention, and she moved towards that direction, eventually moving out of the frame on April 2nd, 6 days after Sandra went missing. Investigators came across a pink Hello Kitty t-shirt. Police at first believed it had belonged to Sandra. However, Sandra's mother later clarified the shirt was not her daughter's. With the community in panic, police left no stone unturned to get to the bottom of the case initially, as is the custom in cases such as this. Sandra's father, Daniel, was considered a suspect, although he wasn't close with his daughter. He had an airtight alibi and was eventually ruled out shortly after police learned of a man named Frank, who 2 years prior had been spotted attempting to kiss Sandra at the park's community pool. This incident had been witnessed by Sandra's grandmother in 2007, leading to a complaint being filed. The man was brought in for questioning. He admitted that he was attracted to young girls but claimed he had never actually acted on his feelings. The police conducted a thorough search of his trailer, studio, and car. Additionally, he underwent a polygraph test. Ultimately, he was cleared and given a warning. Police also interviewed a man who drove an ice cream truck. He had been seen talking to several children while driving in the area around the time that Sandra disappeared. He was also questioned and ruled out a candlelight vigil was organized in honor of Sandra, but it was disrupted by a woman screaming hysterically while approaching the police president. The vigil, the woman revealed that she had come across something significant. This discovery turned out to be a note stumbled upon by the neighbor of the Cantu family, Melissa Huckabee, a 28-year-old Sunday school teacher. The letter was found on Melissa's lawn and read, quote, "Cantu locked in stolen suitcase thrown in water on Bucketty Road and Whitehall Road." Witness police noticed multiple misspellings in the letter, which seemed to have been intentionally done in order to disguise the writer's handwriting or their mother tongue. Police were suspicious of both the letter and of its finder. Melissa Huckabee, notably a few days after Sandra went missing, Melissa had texted Sandra's mother to let her know that Friday night someone had stolen some things out of her garage. Among those items was a suitcase. Despite doubts of the note's origin, police conducted another search of the location mentioned in the letter. The location had an agricultural runoff collection pond, which was filled with sewage and manure from the nearby farms, making it impossible to search the pond. Eventually, police ended the search due to lack of access, 10 days after Sandra was last seen on April 6. 2009, agricultural workers, as part of their regular routine, drained an irrigation pond located at Machete and Whitehall Road. The very same location mentioned in the note at the bottom of the pond. A suitcase was found. The suitcase had an overwhelming smell of decomposition, and its zipper was tied with a white string. The suitcase was taken to the medical examiner's office. The coroner opened it and found Sandra's body curled up in a fetal position. She had been wearing the same clothes as she had on the day she disappeared. Dental records confirmed her to be Sandra Cantu. The discovery shocked the tight-knit mobile home park, and not only friends and family but the entire community at large was left shaken and frightened over the course of several days. After the body was found, numerous individuals expressed their sorrow by leaving flowers, posters, candles, and stuffed animals in the neighborhood as a way to honor Sandra. An autopsy revealed that Sandra had been fully assaulted. However, there were no signs of biological secretion within Sandra, and the injuries to her areas were more indicative of an assault involving a foreign. She ultimately died from asphyxiation. The coroner said that Sandra had been drugged and had a high dose of alprazolam, also known as Xanax, in her system. At first, police were looking for a male between the ages of 35 to 45, but after learning about the autopsy results, they started to suspect that possibly a woman may have been involved. Their suspicions soon fell on Melissa Huckabee after it was found that the suitcase Melissa reported to have been stolen was the same brand of suitcase found in the irrigation pond. The police then decided to visit Melissa's home. Melissa lived with her grandparents and her 5-year-old daughter Madison, who had been friends with Sandra. Melissa's grandparents told police that Sandra would often come to the house to play with Madison. With the permission of her grandparents, police searched Melissa's car and found a note that had been scribbled out. The note bore markings where words had been crossed out. It was submitted for analysis, which confirmed the presence of the words Machete, Whitehall, and water. The police also decided to search the church where Melissa taught. In the course of the search, they found a white string that had been cut from the blinds of the church's windows. Police believe it was the same string used to tie the zipper of the suitcase in which Sandra was found. They also found a rolling pin with a blood smear on it. Both pieces of evidence were sent for forensic analysis. Police then tried to interview Melissa, but were unable to do so as she was in the hospital for swallowing razor blades, and they were told by doctors that they had to wait until she was discharged. Meanwhile, police got a search warrant of Melissa's home and found a notebook in her bedroom that had the same paper as the note Melissa claimed to have found during the vigil. Soon a man came forward and claimed to have seen a woman at the irrigation pond on the day Sandra disappeared. According to his account, he and his wife were driving when they spotted a dark-colored SUV on the side of the road, with its door open. The man said he saw a woman with dark-colored hair, and when he asked her if she needed any help, she simply said that she had pulled over to use the bathroom. The description of the car provided by the man matched Melissa's car. Police then decided to look into the 28-year-old Sunday school teacher's background. Melissa Huckabee was born on February 23, 1981, in Orange County, California. In 2002, she pursued a restraining order against a former boyfriend, accusing him of harassment, threats of murder, and causing harm to her grandfather. In August of 2003, Melissa got pregnant with her then boyfriend, John Huckabee. The couple would eventually get married, but the marriage did not last, and they divorced in September of 2005. In their divorce papers, Melissa accused John of child abduction, alcoholism, and physical abuse charges. He vehemently denied Melissa was given full custody of their daughter Madison. After the divorce, Melissa led a solitary life marked by a history of mental health challenges. Her family reported severe conditions such as borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia within her medical history. Striking to raise her daughter as a single parent, she grappled with episodes of depression and engaged in selling practices to address her mental health issues. She was prescribed potent medications including benzodiazepines, amphetamines, and antidepressants in 2006. Police arrested and jailed Melissa for petty theft shortly afterward. She relocated to Tracy in Northern California, in order to rebuild her life, moving in with her grandparents. For a period after the move, things seemed to be improving, as noted by Melissa's family and friends. She spent most of her time with her daughter and attended church services with her grandparents. However, in January of 2009, 3 months before Sandra went missing, Melissa had taken a young girl to a park without her mother's permission. Upon returning the child home, the mother observed concerning signs. She recalls her daughter seemed drugged, displaying slurred speech and showing significant distress. With frequent tears, the girl struggled to walk and to maintain her balance. So the mother rushed her to the hospital, where medical tests confirmed the presence of Xanax in her system. Police questioned Melissa about the incident, which she denied. Meanwhile, it was revealed that the girl's mother also had her own struggles with substance abuse due to insufficient evidence against Melissa. The case stalled and did not progress any further. Then just 25 days prior to Sandra going missing, on March 2, 2009, Melissa had drugged a 36-year-old man named Daniel Plowman. Reportedly, Melissa and Daniel had been dating at the time. Late one night, Melissa offered him a beverage which he drank. However, he recalled that he detected an odd taste, and his recollection from that point on became hazy several hours later, around 1:30 a.m. The following day, Daniel was apprehended on suspicion of driving while intoxicated. He had driven his car into a McDonald's. Drive-thru placed an order and paid for it, but it passed out on the wheel while waiting for his food. The McDonald's employee notified police about the incident. Upon regaining consciousness, albeit still disoriented, he accidentally collided with a wall while attempting to drive away. Police arrived at the scene and took him into custody, but he was subsequently released without being formally charged. While police had been looking into Melissa's past, the DNA results from the rolling pin had come in, and it was confirmed that the blood on the rolling pin belonged to Sandra. It is believed that the rolling pin was used just by sole Sandra. Additionally, the string from the blinds matched the string used to tie the suitcase shut. Once Melissa was discharged from the hospital, police brought her in for questioning. Initially, she denied killing Sandra, but when police presented her with the evidence, she tearfully admitted to the crime, but claimed it was an accident. According to her version, on that specific day, she had intended to transport the suitcase to church. However, an unexpected encounter with Sandra altered her plans. She says that they decided to engage in a game of hide-and-seek. Sandra. She claims climbed into the suitcase, and Melissa says she totally forgot about Sandra and simply drove to the church. She claimed that when she opened the suitcase, she discovered the lifeless body of Sandra. She also said that she'd tried to revive Sandra, even placing a small towel on her forehead to cool her down. But Melissa says when Sandra did not wake up, she panicked and suddenly considered the idea of disposing the body in a nearby irrigation pond. She denied ever assaulting Sandra Waters. "He's got a whole bunch of my pills in it. You're trying to make them dissolve, and then I took a drink and I spit it because it was disgusting. Tasty, and I drank it." Or did you spit it and he landed on her? Landed on her. Yeah, we're at it in case I think something else happens. What did you tell me you thought might have happened to her? She was supposed or something? She was. I never wanted her. However, police did not buy her sob story, and she was charged with Sandra's murder on April 10, 2009. Police conducted a search of Melissa's computer. The examination of her browsing history revealed a recent search related to the murder of another young girl. This girl had been stuffed into a suitcase and thrown into the water. The internet search made by Melissa proved that the murder was not an accident, but premeditated. Moreover, the surveillance footage from Sandra's residence yielded another significant piece of evidence. The CCTV showed Melissa Huckabee 8 minutes after Sandra was on screen, driving out of the mobile home park in the direction of the church. About the time that Melissa was leaving, she phoned the trailer park manager to report her black suitcase had been stolen. Another surveillance tape from the church parking lot showed Melissa driving away from the church and then returning 30 minutes later. Melissa was held in the San Joaquin County Jail without bail until her trial. Sandra was laid to rest by her friends and family on April 16, 2009. In a small pink casket, over 600 people attended her funeral during her trial. Prosecutors alleged that Sandra's death was premeditated by Melissa. They believed that Sandra had intended to play at Melissa's house, as captured by surveillance camera footage. They said Melissa had asked Sandra to come to church to help her decorate. And when they got to church, Melissa gave Sandra some juice which had the medication in it. The prosecutors allege that Melissa waited until Sandra passed out, subsequently insulting her and suffocating her to death. Despite their efforts, law enforcement struggled to unearth a clear motive behind the crime, leaving the community shocked and bewildered. The idea that a neighbor, a mother whose own child played with others in the area, could turn into a cold-blooded killer was simply incomprehensible to them. The gravity of the situation escalated to the point where Melissa received death threats. This led police to introduce heightened security measures for the duration of her trial. The defense was concerned that prosecutors were basing the sexual allegation solely on the findings of the medical examiner's autopsy. They wanted Sandra's body to be exhumed for a second autopsy by a defense pathologist. However, the defense later dropped the bid to exhume Sandra's body after learning that tissue samples were still available for testing in court. Melissa denied allegations of bolts she conveyed to Maria. Sandra's mother said that Sandra did not suffer and that there was no use involved. However, Melissa's statements contradicted the pathologist's report, which revealed injuries sustained by Sandra, including a cut on her lower lip, an abrasion on her elbow, and injuries to her areas. Melissa eventually took a plea deal in order to avoid the death penalty. She pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and kidnapping as part of her plea bargain. She was not charged with sexual assault. She was eventually sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She has never told anyone her motive and continues to claim that she doesn't know why she did it. Certain speculations suggest that Melissa's actions may have been driven by a desire for attention. This notion aligns with the concept of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, wherein an individual deliberately inflicts harm or illness on another, often to cause pity or focus attention on themselves. However, this disease is usually carried out from parent to child and not from stranger to abductee. Sandra's memory lives on in the minds of her friends and family, who continue on day to day with a hole in their hearts.